Hello YouTube community, this is VIP Nobody, your fixed income PC builder, coming to you from the sunny outback bush country of Jamaica. Yeah, man. Well, today we're going to install Linux Mint 19 on a PCIe to nvme adapter, and we're going to be using a 16 gigabyte SATA to be able to put the boot sector on. I've seen a lot of people attempt using the PCIe to NVMe adapter on several machines, and I installed Linux Mint 19 on a Dell Inspiron 530 and using similar, but it's a little different with the HP Z230. It has UEFI as well as legacy, and you're going to have to go into the legacy install to be able to install this properly. It won't work if you use a UEFI. Feel free to try, but you got to go into the legacy boot sources. You can see both the UEFI and the legacy boot sources. Go into the legacy boot sources, come down to your 16 gigabyte. Well, it's not showing. No wonder. Let's see if it'll show up if I plug it in. Huh? No? Well. So we'll try this again. Down to the boot menu. Down to the SanDisk. Yes. Not the 16 gigabyte SATA. The SanDisk is my USB drive. I have my ISO on. There's the legacy startup. Now, had it been the UEFI startup, it would have been much smaller lettering. Uh-oh. Huh. Oh, it's starting. Fine. I didn't hit the enter. Didn't have to hit the enter. You got so many seconds before it goes ahead. I guess I'm too long-winded. Here comes the legacy startup. There you go. And I'm going to go straight into the install. As you can see in the upper left-hand corner, there's some icons. Go straight into the install. And I'm wondering how well this is going to show up. English. Enter. Continue. Let's go ahead and set up the Wi-Fi. Because we want to be able to download drivers. Third-party software, that's what we want to install while we're in doing the install. Now this is a screen that we're going to use to do something different, something else. Hopefully we can see this. I've been having trouble getting this to show up. There's the NVMe at the top there, and here's our SATA drive here. You're going to right click on it, do a new partition table, continue, then you're going to click on the free space, add, leave the you want the full amount to be used. Down here you're going to change the use as a, I say BFARTS, but it's BTRFS, journaling file system. And the mounting point for your NVMe is going to be the slash, not home, not boot. This is just slash. And you're going to hit OK. And I want it to be formatted as well. I've already done the install on this. That's why it's set up the way it is. New partition table on the SDA. And click on the free space. Click on Add. Back to the B farts again. BTRFS journaling file system. Mount point is going to be boot. Okay. Click on the OK. We want that formatted as well as part of the process. And down here at the bottom, that's the key part. Down at the bottom, it says device for bootloader installation. We don't want it to be the NVMe. Okay. We want it to be the SDA, this ATA 16 gigabyte SATA flash drive. That's where we want to put the boot sector. That's where it's going to go. Click on install now. That's the changes. Continue. And Jamaica, yes. I always do Joe for Joe Mama. And we're going to log in automatically. Give it a super sexy password. And hopefully I typed it twice the same. Yeah, it looks like it. Hit continue. And it's going to copy the files. It's going to take a few moments. It won't take very long. Hopefully the screen turned out okay. Legible. Last time I did it, I went back to watch it after I had loaded it up to YouTube, and it was not very legible. I just recently watched it. And I was surprised to see that it wasn't very legible. You couldn't see what I was doing, which is no good if you really want to try and do this. Now, I've watched other people install operating systems on an NVMe, which is on a PCIe to NVMe adapter. And the read and write speeds were great, fantastic. I mean, just as good as if it were mounted on the board. So it's butter smooth. I've done it on several machines, and it's butter smooth. But I've seen other people do it, and they use the Clover bootloader, like Linus used the Clover bootloader. But he's got a USB sticking out of the side of his machine. You know, you bump the thing, or you remove it, or change the port that it's on, and you bada boom, bada bing, it's messed up. Or, let's see, Hardware Hennock, he put his on the inside, on a USB that was inside the machine. And he had to go to the BIOS and tell the BIOS to go to that one port, and that one port only, to look for its brains, its boot sector. And then it would start up Clover. And it works fine. But this is a lot faster. The machine normally set up in the BIOS to be able to go look at SATA, and it'll find the 16 gigabyte SATA where the boot sector is, and then the boot sector will say the brains are over there. And presto, it goes over there, flies up, and it's a world of difference. I mean, it's like having a newer model machine with a board mounted NVMe. I'm telling you, it's just butter smooth and fast. I haven't had any problems. During the move, I did have a problem. I had a slot that got messed up, and could no longer use the PCIe to NVMe adapter. I had to get a new motherboard. While I was getting a new motherboard, I just went ahead and got something a lot newer. I saw something for 20 bucks on Toasty Bros. I watch Toasty Bros all the time. It wasn't 20 bucks. It was like 40 bucks. They got the combo that had the X79 211 socket Xeon and 16 gigabytes of RAM on one stick. So I checked their link out and found similar, and that's what I went with. You know, I mean, you can't beat 20 bucks for a motherboard. I mean, you can get used ones for that. You can hardly get used ones for that unless they're older, and it's not, you can't go so far as to be retro, because everybody wants the retro stuff all of a sudden. So there's like a window where the motherboards and everything are priced for people who, like myself, who are on a fixed income. In other words, you don't have a lot of cash, okay? Soon there won't be any cash, but that's another whole subject. Tech yes City, he talks about the cache situation in the world. He does a pretty good job. But that's another whole subject. The install is pretty far along. It should be finishing up shortly. We'll see if I did it properly or not. Whether I got her done. Now the reason why I use Mint 19 rather than 20 or 21 or 22, I think there's 22 out now. They all want the grub installer. I've tried it. And they all want to install the grub installer, and it just causes it to crash. It says, no, you can't install grub over here on this SATA drive. I'm like, okay. I find something that works then. It's called hacking, but it's not much of a difficult hack. It's just find something that works. If you wanted to upgrade, I would suggest that you upgrade 19 if you're going to do this process like mine. Then I would suggest you go ahead and upgrade before you start putting all your favorite software on there. You know, like Kdenlive or GIMP or Bible loading software. They call them apps nowadays. Apps. You got to change everything every now and then. All the time, I should say. Apps, software, programs. But before you load all your favorite and change your desktop the way it looks or anything like that, I would suggest you go ahead and upgrade if that's what you want to do to get your LTS, long-term service, long-term support. That way, if there's any major changes in the operating system and your stuff won't work sometimes, just to be on the safe side. There's a good chance it'll work, but be on the safe side. It'll tell you if there's some packages that won't work, but if you don't install anything until you've got your system that you want. But that's what I would suggest you do. Let's see, who all did the HP Z230? I know Tech Yes did one, and I think Greg Salazar did a 220. And Lowcastle did a 440. They had trouble using a proprietary nvme. And I sent them some links to a couple guys that made changes to the proprietary board. It included removing of a resistor or something off of the proprietary NVMe board, and it would boot straight to it. But there's an easier way. They have a connector and wire, two-pronged wire, and on the board, I forget how it's labeled, but it's you put the two-prong connector to that as well as to the NVMe, and the board recognizes, BIOS recognizes that there's an NVMe there. You put the NVMe in the fourth slot rather than the first slot. And I saw somebody that had done that with an HP Z230. Now my board doesn't have that two-prong as well as the wire that goes along with it. I looked, so I'm not sure why this guy had a 230 that was capable of doing that, and all of them weren't that way. But hey, who am I? I'm not HP. 37, 27 keeps jumping around. It might have something to do with the slow internet and trying to download the software codecs or whatever. I've seen somebody in a garage that had a 230, HP Z230, and he did the Clover bootloader trick. Still more to do. Installing, yeah, there we go. Firefox. No, I don't use Firefox, folks. It's gone over to the dark side. It is no longer open source. It talks to the mothership, just like Windows. Yeah, there's going to be lots of guys hacking Windows so that they can still use Windows 10 or Windows 11 without talking to the mothership. But you can't tell AI is smarter and faster, and it's going to make fixes for its operating system so that it can constantly get information from you and your machine, whatever machine that you have, desktop, laptop, and one of those dumb phones, you know. It's going to get your information. Just ask Brax from the Brax.me channel. Love that guy. Love the Toasty Bros too. When I first started thinking about doing any kind of building of gaming machines or anything, I didn't know the first thing. I had to watch other guys, and Toasty Bros, they're most consistent with lots of videos, and hats off to them. They were talking about 60 frames per second as being the sweet spot, and 8 gigabytes of VRAM, DDR5 is mid-range nowadays. Ta-da! It works, folks. It just works. Installation is finished. Let's go ahead and do a restart. I don't know if you can see that. It says over here at the end. There we are, all the way over there. I don't know if it's bright enough or too bright. Restart now. PCIe to nvme. What is it, 10 seconds now? First startup. Oh, moly, that was fast. How about that stuff, folks? And the first steps after first startup. We can go ahead and launch the driver manager. Super sexy password. Bada boom, bada bang. We'll see how many drivers are needed or whether the kernel is complete. Here we are. Whoa, how about that? No proprietary drivers necessary. How about that? The kernel has done the job. Linux kernel. Hoorah! Alright, folks, that's VIP Nobody, your fixed income PC builder, signing off from sunny Outback Bush, Jamaica. Yeah, man.